right, everybody, welcome back to Real Estate Today. This is the final one of 2023 as we kind of wrap up a little year in review. What a crazy year it's been, roller coaster wise. And then Craig and Mike and myself, we're going to chat about what we see happening in 24. And so, again, I'm Jeff Beggins here with my brother.
I'm Craig Beggins.
And our brother from another mother,
Mike Puma.
And for those who haven't been watching, it's great to watch the viewership grow in the way that it is. We are based in Florida. We have, about 11 brick and mortar offices now. We've got about 600 and something salespeople, 32nd year in business. We've done billions of dollars in sales, 60,000 plus transactions. We've got a lot going on from an experience perspective. So we like to bring you kind of news about what's really happening from our perspective and the trials and tribulations and things that we have going on inside of our brokerage, and to kind of talk to you about what we see in the industry and as the general public as well. So Craig and Mike, let's talk about it. We had one interesting year, right? Very, very interesting year this year, but a good one.
Well, off of an incredible year. 2022 was absolutely amazing, rock star, crazy. And I think we all went into 2023 thinking, yay, we're great. Until.
Well, but that's an interesting perspective too, because the 2022 was crazy for one reason. Money was free.
Yeah.
In essence, right? It was, here you go buy stuff. So people who weren't going to buy went and bought, right? Man, we might as well buy a couple rental properties. Look how cheap the money is. If we're approved, let's go. So you had so many more transactions happening that typically wouldn't have, because of the fake inducement from the Fed dropping rates on purpose to stimulate and make people do what they did. So you had people that would have never bought, buy, and you have people that were delayed their buying, buy. So that kind of took a lot of the 2023 thunder and forced it into 2022, right?
Yeah.
Which is it's kind of
it's happened too. And I talked about this at sales meeting yesterday. The stats were crazy, but hedge funds started buying residential real estate with those low interest rates because their hedge against their money was so much better. So they could buy houses and leverage them at 3% and make 8 or 10 or 12% on income from those rentals. So now it's like the hedge funds have bought, I think it was 22% of all the U.S. houses last year, or in 2022, were bought by corporate clients. And they're being used as rental properties, and they're making a killing. And you go back to 2012, 13, I mean, we did a couple thousand transactions with one company that it was called American Homes for Rent. They bought thousands of homes, and they bought them at short sales and foreclosures. They put contracts on everything. And they bought what's today a $400,000 house. They bought for $180,000. And now they're renting out as a $400,000 house, but they're only making payments on $180,000, and they borrowed money to do it. It's crazy.
But I think that's the point, right? Right there is all markets are not created equal. And I think where agents and brokerages and people, even buyers, sellers, where they get caught is trying to treat every market like it's the same. And it's not. Right? There's nuances to every market, and there's opportunities in every market. The problem is for agents in particular, is a lot of them get very romantic about the way that they've made money in the past in this business, and it shifts, right? In 2020, in 2021, and even into 2022, if you had previously made all your money by working for sale by owners, you were probably in a lot of trouble during those 3-year period, because all of a sudden, all a for sale by owner had to do was stick a sign in their front yard, and they were getting 32 offers.
Yep.
Right now, I would argue, obviously, an agent's help is still very important in that transaction. But nevertheless, in their mind, a lot of for sale by owners, they stopped using agents because they didn't feel like they needed to. They were putting a sign in the yard and getting an offer. Now, today, not so much the case, right? So they come back around. My point being, though, is as agents, you've got in brokerage, you gotta constantly pivot, and you gotta constantly scan where are our areas of opportunity, where is the business coming from, because there will always be business. It's just going to shift on where it's coming from. Those same hedge funds that were buying hundreds and thousands even of homes in 2013, they didn't for a long period of time. Then all of a sudden they started buying again, and now they're not. right? I mean, so they're not treating the market the same, and these are the smartest investors in the world. So we can't treat every market the same. But it doesn't mean that it's a bad market. It doesn't mean it's not that no business is happening. It just means that we need to pivot, we need to change, we need to look for the areas of opportunity because those shift around.
Well, Mike, the post you put out for our agents the other day. Last week we had 41 sales, 21 listings, and I want to say it was 17 closings or something. Yeah. We had 41 sales, right? And yesterday the hot sheet came out. We had 12 sales over the weekend. I haven't seen it, well, because that's 5 minutes. But I mean, 41 sales in the week before Christmas, that's a lot. Who the hell's buying a house the week before Christmas?
People that need to buy houses.
A lot of people.
That's what we're selling.
But it's interesting when you look at the headlines too. Right, we talk about 23 being a down market, right? You look at the headlines, that's what they say. But that's like it's absurd, right? It's like saying the Friday after Black Friday. You compare the sales to the Friday after Black Friday to the sales on Black Friday, and the headline saying retail sales are way down, right? Compared to the Friday before. And that's the same thing. Like the whole country was on a Black Friday sale, right? Post-pandemic. So that's what happened. And that's the whole thing. So I think what we need to, as consumers, smart consumers, recognize the reality of it is that we got a lot of forced transactions prior into 22. And then we had the normal transactions in 23, which are the diamonds and the death, divorce, and diamonds. And, people that have life happening to them that actually inherit a piece of real estate they don't want, need to sell it. They're blending families. They're moving. They're getting job transfer. They're losing their job. Things are happening that causes life. That's all we had in 23 is normal life. Now, what we're about to see, too, is going to be interesting because 24 is going to be what, right? It's going to be probably a normal real estate market until what happens? Until the Black Friday sale gets announced.
Yep, rates drop.
And what do you think about, let's talk about this for a second.
Well,
what do you
so
is really going to happen when rates, I watch rates a lot, as we all do, and everything's on the 10-year T-bill is what is probably, I think, the biggest indicator for rates. And they went up, the highest was almost 5%, right? And we like to see from a mortgage perspective, 3.5% or under, right? Is when mortgage originations are at their highest. And so we went all the way to 4.98, right? We almost got to the 5 point. And that's when everything was just like non-existent. Anybody was buying just had to buy and didn't buy because rates were just high. We were bumping the 8% mark, right? With interest rates, which may not historically be high, all that stuff, but they're high, way higher than they were, be enough to make people say, you know what? I'm good. I don't need a new house right now. I'll wait. And that's what the short term. So now what's happening is I looked just this morning, 3.93 is where we're back down to, over a point, right? Lower than they were. So we're now, but mortgage rates are less than a point higher than they were at their peak, and they're starting to come down based on following the T-bill.
We had a locking at 6.38 yesterday.
Yeah, but you got to look at the fine tune, as you know, the fine print, because 6.93 with 1.5 points at closing, right? So the mortgage brokers are packaging all their fluffy bullshit around to make it sound like it's a low rate, but you're writing points in the deal to close. You're buying your rate down without saying you're buying your rate down, right? So you got to look at the reality of what's really going on there, but it's still not cheap, but it's coming, right? Let's talk about what do you think is coming for a second here, because what are your views? What do you see the market doing? I'll tell you my thoughts after.
Well, I don't think you and I see eye to eye on this one. I think a mortgage rate at 7% is normal. And I think we're going to stick around the 7% rate. It would take a false market to drop it below. It would take extra stimulus to make that happen.
Yep, I agree.
So to be, comfortable at 7. And the good news is that whoever's buying right now is qualified, because, and I think that's an important tone to where we're at today. Because you go back to 2012, not only were rates low, but you didn't have to really qualify. All the standards dropped. Then you got low rates with standards, and that was a better situation. So people that were buying, could afford it at that low rate. But now you've got people at a high rate that have to qualify too, which is knocking buyers out of the market like crazy, because all of a sudden they don't have the income to justify, and that price of the house doubled. So a house that was 200,000 is now 400,000. A house that was 200,000 at 3% is now 400,000 at 7%. That's a different quality of person.
Yeah. Well, I disagree with the forecast for just one reason, right? I think this could be a new norm with the normal world, but we're not in a normal world. We are in my opinion, right? And we'll see how it plays out.
Oh,
The Fed acted way too fast, went way too long, and cut way too deep. And they look in the rearview mirror. And this is the problem, right? They look at the lagging indicators of what's going on in the economy. And we can tell them it's not hard. We can tell you very clearly that they stopped growth. They stopped consumer confidence. They stopped investment like months ago.
oh yeah.
9 months ago, right? They should have stopped then because they accomplished what they wanted to do, but they kept going, right? They 15 rate cuts in a row, right? And then now they tease us, like, well, you might not, right? We'll see. But they haven't come out and said that they're gonna drop, right? They hint towards it, but they haven't done it yet. So they're way too far, way too fast. So if history repeats itself, which it likely does, or it certainly resembles it, they're going to say, oh crap, the earnings reports are coming in. Things are happening here. It is slowed down more than we wanted it to. What are we going to do now? We've got political pressure on our ass. We've got an election coming up. We've got everything that plays off of the stock market, right? All of the consumer confidence, all of the 401ks, response. So, I mean, when you're going into an election, if I were president, I want people to feel as good as freaking possible when they go into that polling booth or they fill out their ballots, however they do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not good right now. And if it keeps getting worse over the next couple of meetings, right, which I think the first and second quarter, they're going to say, oh shit, and they're going to say, we need to do something quickly. And I think you're going to see significant drops. I think you're not going to see a quarter point. I think you'll see half points or greater to try to stimulate and get people to feel good rolling into November. And that's what I see. That's what maybe it's what I want.
What's that going to cause?
It's going to cause a frenzy because it's pent up, right? And the analogy, I like to use is I'm going to go buy a new computer for my son.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm going to go buy a MacBook, but I don't know which one. I want a 15, I want a 17, or I want this one. I want to go over and feel it and touch it, but I got to go to International Mall to go do that. And I go towards the front door and lightning's crashing and it's storming and there's hail and it's 50-mile-an-hour winds. I'm not going to the mall, right? But did I not buy a MacBook? No, I just paused my purchase because of the climate that I was in at that moment, right? Now, when things settle down and this wind's slow and the rain stops and the sun comes out and it's nice out,
you're going back to the mall.
Going to the mall to go buy what I was originally planning on buying, right? So you have a lot of that. That purchase wasn't canceled. It was paused. It was delayed.
Well, that's called sitting on the sidelines.
Sitting on the sideline, sitting on the pause button. So that's what, in my opinion, that's where the real estate market is right now. Is it's starting to slow down raining, right? And we've got the meteorologist saying we think it's going to get sunny soon, right? And so people are starting to think and look around and say, honey, when it gets sunny, we're going to go buy. I hate this kitchen. I really want that pool house. I'd like to be closer to school. I'm tired of this commute to work, right? We're ready. But we're just now starting. You see the showing time reports, right? Starting to kick up a little bit. Views are starting to go. House views are looking a little higher than they were. People are starting to put their head out because it's about to get sunny and nice outside. And then as soon as it does, you're going to see Bob and Mary saying, honey, you know what? We talked to our lender. We can afford that rate. Look how much equity we have. We can lock in a rate at 6%, right? The golden will be 5.9, right? Of course, just psychologically thinking. But let's do it, honey. It's a couple $100 a month. We can swing that, but we deserve it. Let's do it. They call their agent. They put their house on the market. They go look at another house. They buy another house and they sell their house. Now, that just creates transactions. That doesn't do anything with the inventory because we just swapped houses.
Right.
And we didn't create any new houses on the market. If Bob and Mary got sucked up in a spaceship and we had to sell Bob and Mary's house, that's new inventory that Chris and Joanna can go buy. But when Bob and Mary go buy another house for Bob and Mary, they already sucked up another house, so we're exactly where we were before. Right? So it's not going to help the inventory situation out, which is going to create supply and demand pressure because the people that are waiting to buy for rates to go down are going to jump into that pool with Bob and Mary. And Bob and Mary have equity and have the desire, and they're going to go look at the same house that Chris and Joanna are going to look at, along with 18 other people, and they're going to have to multiple bidding wars, and the prices will bid up, and they'll say, I'll release my inspection contingency, I'll waive my appraisal, I'll pay $10,000 over, right? I'll do whatever you want to do because I really want the house. We've been living in the shitty apartment for the last 2 years, waiting for rates to drop. They're dropping. We're buying a house, right? So you're going to get this frenzy built up when rates do come down, right? And that's just going to happen. It's going to happen. It has to happen because that's just the way herd mentality works. And that's why what we're saying all the time now is if you're smart, right? Our audience is a smart audience. If you're considering buying when rates come down and you're not buying right now, then smack yourself right now. Because what Navy Federal Credit Union, perfect example, good little glimpse into what's coming, right, from the mortgage lending facility. If Craig wanted to go buy a house right now and he's like, I really don't like 6.9% or 7.25%, we say, Craig, suck it up, because you can adjust every 6 months as the rates come down, which everybody pretty much expects them to come down over the next couple of years. Every time they drop down, every 6 months, you can readjust your rate for $250. Not even a refinance fee. Just to give me my new
program.
Amazing program. You think other people aren't going to copy the hell out of that one? All over the place on there. So that's going to just fuel it. So now the smart people are buying right now. While the days on the markets are high, the sellers are going, what's going on? I really want to sell my house. What's going? The people that need to sell their houses are the ones that are selling right now. Need to. Nobody says, I think it's a good time to sell. It's not a good time to sell your house right now. The good time to sell is spring, when all the Bob and Marys are running around buying, right? The bad time to sell is right now, when everyone's on the sideline. So the only ones on the market right now are those who have to sell their house, and they're desperate. And a lot of times, sorry, it is what it is. They're on the market 2, 3, 4 months. They have no offers or showings. Time is ticking. Life is happening. And they're like, I'll take your offer that's 25 grand under, man. Right? Make it easy. Take it off my hands. I don't have any other offers. Make it contingent on your house in Hoboken. Right? Just come buy my house. And that little window is about to close. So the smart buyers are buying in this one quarter. We're going to look back on Q1 of 24 as the most unbelievable time to have bought a piece of real estate ever, right? Because it's going to go right back to the craziness after that. My prediction is.
Well, I think you're straight on with supply and demand. That's the problem. That's the problem and the solution, right? The whole market, every market revolves around supply and demand. And your example of trading a house, Bob and Mary buying Paul and Susie's house, that doesn't increase supply. So, and then you got a guy like me who's got a nice house, and I got a fixed rate loan that's very low, and to move, I'd have to pay twice as much for a similar house and have double mortgage payment.
Until life creates leverage that forces a move for you.
Right.
Whether there's like, oh my gosh, what an opportunity came up in the Bahamas and I'm going and I love it and let's go. Right. Or something happens, or you decide you want to do something else. Right. The only time you'll ever move is when some outside leverage force causes a move for you.
Right.
Positive, negative, whatever it may be. And so you're not entering the market. So your house is not going to become available.
A lot of people that I talk to aren't either, because where can they go?
Until death, debt, divorce.
Right.
It's their world, and they're like, oh shit, my company just got a major lawsuit and I've got to go bankrupt and I'm in trouble, right? And then that's when you sell your house.
Right.
Or, honey, it's over. We're splitting the assets, court order, sell the house. We're going to go buy new homes, right? That's the stuff that people don't know is coming next quarter, right? And that's what will fuel the next quarter.
Where the supply is coming from.
And not much demand.
Honey, I like that house next door. It's really cute. That's not happening right
now. No, but it will. It will. So it's going to be a very interesting market, and to see how that actually does play out on here. Now, what do I think is going to happen? Now, you have investment properties are going to be interesting because I met with somebody yesterday who's speccing 3 multi-million-dollar homes right now over on the beaches. And we talked a lot about that one because my advice to that one was don't do that anymore. Yeah, because the market that we're going to be delivering these homes in is not a low interest market that creates a high ROI in a vacation rental marketplace right now. Now, as the rates come back down, that will be a better purchase. But right now, I would gear them towards the actual purchasers of single family, primary residence, secondary residences, because that investor market is not as hot as it was. And
Well, I was talking to an agent in the luxury market the other day, and she said basically the opposite. She said the high end, the $10, $20 million buyers, they're not affected by interest rates. They're paying cash anyway.
They're not looking for an ROI. They're looking
Right.
for a new purchase.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what it is. So that market remained unaffected. The high end luxury is going just fine.
Yep. They want it.
It's the poor rich people that are having a hard time. You know, the $1 to $2 million buyer that's got to get a loan, they're suffering because it costs so much more to buy that house. But the $4 and $5 million buyer, they're paying cash anyway.
Right.
So that's
the other thing too. Is from an investor market, where is the money sitting right now? It's sitting in high yield CDs. It's sitting in high yield treasury bonds. It's just sitting in a very safe
5% in a regular CD right now.
5, 6, 7% in many. Right? It's kind of dumb not to sit it there while you wait for things to settle out. So when that number goes back to 3, that's not as attractive anymore. And then the question is, well, what else can I go put this in? And then you're like, oh, well, we kind of want a beach house anyway, honey. Look, I can make a 12% return on a house, get some appreciation, depreciation. We can go there when we want to. We're taking it out of Wells Fargo anyway. Let's go look, right? So that's what's going to also happen in Q2, in addition to Bob and Mary moving around, in addition to all the tenants thinking about buying it for the first time. So you're going to have all these different cylinders starting to fire up again, all chasing the same thing. And nobody's built a ton of properties, right? Now, in the new home community areas, they've been inflating houses nonstop, bringing in more inventory, right? Because they know what's coming. They're publicly traded companies and they have to do what they need to do. So you always watch what they do. They don't have any concerns, right? There's new home communities aren't slowing down.
No, they're going full.
New pastures are being bulldozed daily and roads, waters, sewers are going in because they're thinking 3 years ahead from now, right? So when you start seeing that investment stop, that's this time to start thinking and pausing. But that's not stopping. That's going because we see the rates going down and we see frenzy or surge coming back in. So interesting thing about our industry is a lot of people left the industry. And a lot of people will continue to leave the industry because the industry has been uprooted in many ways. Number one, fewer people bought. So that's a headline. It's not as easy as it was in 21, 22 and during those times. You actually have to work again, which is interesting. And then you've got the consumer issues, right? With we won't talk about it a lot, but there's a lot going on with the buyer side and the seller side. Differences inside the industry and how that's going to play itself out, which creates friction, doubt, and uncertainty. And as soon as friction, doubt, and uncertainty enters people's lives, they peace out. Right. So now you're about to hit a surge with a significantly fewer amount of people to handle it. Do you remember how tired we were during the pandemic?
Yep.
Remember how crazy that was? It's going to be worse because there's fewer people to handle the increase that's about to happen in the business.
Well, let's put numbers to that just for the public. So right now, the National Association of Realtors has 1.5 million members. So the National Association of Realtors is a realtor organization. 1.5 million members paying about $1,400 a year in dues. So it's a big lobbyist organization, right? The predictions are they're going to drop down to 1 million members. So they're going to lose 500,000 members. Now, I've been reading forecasts for 2024 and the 4 million home sale range. Yesterday, I saw one for 4.7 million home sales. That's a 20% uptick almost. And
with a 30% decrease in agents.
Yeah, with a 30% decrease in agents. So, and everybody thinks real estate agents do really well, but the fact of the matter is most real estate agents are flat ass broke. The average realtor, if you take 5 million home sales and 1.5 million agents, that's an average of 3 sales per agent. Say an average commission is $8,000. That's $24,000 a year. That's less than a school teacher makes.
That's gross.
That's gross. Yeah. Then their broker takes a piece and they got to buy signs and ads and pay membership dues and all the other stuff. So most agents are literally flat ass broke.
Hobbyist.
Mm-hmm. Those are hobbyists. Yeah. So what's going to happen, in my opinion, if we go forward, is the bad agents are going to leave and the good agents are going to stay, and they're going to compete for fewer deals, which means the good agents are going to do really well. But if you're not a good agent, you're not going to do well at all. So the quote wave yesterday was, if you do the same effort as you did last year, you're going to do less deals. If you do more effort than you did last year, you're going to do the same amount of deals. If you do a lot more effort than you did last year, you'll do better in 2024. So that's the way it's going to be, because you're going to be competing. I mean, just the law of supply and demand again. If a house is coming on the market and they're going to interview 3 agents, they're going to choose the best agent, right?
Yep.
So if you're not the best agent, you're not going to get it.
And the smart agents have already started working on that business, right?
That's right.
The smart agents are already chosen in Bob and Mary's mind when they list in March, because they're active in Bob and Mary's feeds. They're in their neighborhoods. They're in their communities. They're engaging in the local businesses. They are relevant to Bob and Mary's life, so they're going to be top of mind, or at least one of the 2 or 3 top of mind. There's probably 10,000 people with their license, but 2 or 3 real agents in every marketplace, right? Yeah. Your job as an agent is to be one of those 2 or 3 people that gets invited to the living room, and then your sales presentation takes it from there, and your presentation skills, right?
Well, as the broker for this company, I'm copied on every license change that happens from the Department of Business and Professional Regulation. And I would say literally 5 agents a week for the last couple months have been showing up on my radar screen as inactive. They moved their license to inactive status, which means they're not paying board dues. They're not paying anything. They're keeping their license, but they're not they can't conduct business.
And for the public, just so they know what that is, you have to join the National Association of Real Estate Realtors,
the Florida Association of Realtors,
the Tampa Bay Association, the West Palm Beach, the Miami, the Atlanta, Georgia Board of Realtors, the MLS fees, right? And your insurance documents of your E&O insurance payments, all those things come into play. It's a couple grand, right? And if you're not serious, then why waste that money?
I wrote a letter at the beginning of last year to our agents. I probably had a couple of cocktails or something. And I said, as your business partner, I need to tell you your business is losing money and this isn't working for us anymore, because you're not making any money and you're not even paying your fees. Your business is bankrupt. Because I wanted to get our roster down, because it costs us money every month to support every agent that we have. We pay for their Gmail. We pay for their Zoom accounts. We pay for all these things that they get access to. And if they don't bring a return for us, it makes no sense. We have to get a return too. So, anyway, that's my little broker soapbox for you.
I love it. Yeah, it's an interesting time. So that's what we're looking for. This was an interesting, from our company growth perspective. I think we ought to talk about that for a second.
Well, you just made me think again. So let me just keep this whole rant going for a second. So, all right, we've been doing this for 30 years. This is not new. We've been through up type cycles, have been through down cycles, and blah, 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 blah. I told the sales meeting staff yesterday, I said, guys, we're not afraid of 2024. We've been here before. We'll do it again. But I'm thinking about all the new brokerages that start up with these cockamamie schemes of, crazy stuff. And just so you know, you have to go to school for 63 hours to get a real estate license. That's it. And then you have a real estate license. You take an exam. And then if you have that license for 2 years, whether you've even sold a house ever in your life, after 2 years, you could take another 72-hour course, which is like you can do in a week. And then you get your broker's license. And now you're a real estate broker. So you can open a real estate company and you can train real estate agents, even though you've never, ever, ever sold a house. And there's a lot of people that have done that in the recent past that started these little companies, and they're going to have a really hard time when this market does what it's going to do. And their business models are not really strong. So there's going to be a lot, and their agents aren't producing, because it's always fascinating, right? I've got 50 agents. I don't ask that question anymore. I say, how many producing agents do you have? And honestly, it's usually close to 50%. I'll talk to a broker. Yeah, I got 200 agents. Yeah, how many actually work? About 100. 50% of them don't do it. Nobody talks about that. That 50% is going to have a really hard time because their fees are going up and their business is going down.
That's what's been kind of fun, watching the growth of what we've been doing over the year. We enter the new Mike, talk about new markets we entered into this year.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we expanded into the Miami market. We are now expanding by the end of this year. So this week we'll be officially in Panama City and Pensacola. So we're just growing, and it's interesting to watch that movement as well, because I think you do have even your top agents, your smarter agents, your big teams, who traditionally are very difficult to get to move from one brokerage to another, especially the big teams, because they have established business and it's a hassle. But that's all I do every day is talk to these people, and what we're starting to see is there's a lot more movement. There's a lot more team leaders looking around. There's a lot more brokers looking around. There's a lot more agents looking around, trying to figure out in anticipation of saying, okay, yes, my business is down. So how do I make the same or more money doing less business? Well, there's really only one way to do that. You either got to lower your expenses, or you got to increase your percentage that you're getting, right? From a split or whatever else. You got to increase compensation per deal.
Increase your skill set for your business.
Or increase your skill set, or a combination of the both. And so that's, we're seeing a lot of that. And that's really what has really sparked a lot of our growth, especially over the last, couple months. We just brought in, almost $100 million in production of outside agents and teams that just decided to make a move. And that's, for people outside the industry to get $100 million of production from outside agents to move over is not easy. It's not easy to get. It's not easy for them to do. And they're doing it, right? We're seeing this movement.
Most brokerages don't do $100 million a year.
No.
And if you're not,
and that's just a small market, small little blip for us, but it's a big deal. And it's going to fuel a lot of our growth moving forward. So we're excited. We're on pace right now to open about 5 new markets a year, and so we'll be, by the end of this coming year, we will be in every single major DMA in Florida, which is really exciting.
And side note, the way we're doing this is we're bringing in cool regional president partners that are 50-50 partners with us in regions. So if you ever think about the next levels for yourself, reach out to Puma or us and chat about that. So that's really fun. The industry is changing a lot and consolidating, and we're on the leading edge of it. And so it's fun. So I just wanted to give a glimpse to everybody about what's happened this last year, what we see coming next year, and the punchline for you guys, if you are going to be transacting in any way, shape, or form in the 2024 year, do it now, right? Do it now. Do it as soon as humanly possible. Reach out to an agent that's got your back, get you funded, get you approved. Do it now while you still have leverage, because the leverage is going to start shrinking as the year goes on this one. So that's I think you could take that to the bank on that one.
We're already seeing it. I mean, we just had a sale. There's so many cases of this happening where a house comes on the market and people don't believe it. It comes on the market and it has multiple offers and sells in a weekend. That is still happening now. At the same time, we've got houses that have sat on the market for 4 months and never moved. And then that seller finally takes our advice and makes the changes, and then that house sells. And they go buy another one and take it off the market and do what they do. Right? So you can't say it's good or bad. I mean, shit, we had 12 sales yesterday. New contracts turned in. We had 41 last week. That's pretty good for the week before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Well, I'll take it. And that's demand. That it just has to happen. These are people that are moving because they need to move, not because they want to. So if we stick through that number, we'll do about the same as we did last year. And if not, if there's another spike, then we'll do more than we did last year. But we did pretty well last year.
My final piece of advice is stay in your lane, put blinders on, no matter whether you're an agent, a consumer, an investor. Stop with the herd mentality. Stop paying attention to what everyone else is doing. Do what's best for you. If you have money that you're looking to park somewhere, it's time to invest. If you're looking to move around, do it. If you've got a better situation for yourself, better opportunity, take it. but it's time to put blinders on. It's time to do what's best for you. It's how I operate every day. I'm in a very small purview of what I'm looking at to make decisions. And I don't really care what anyone else is doing. It doesn't affect me. I'm only worried about those directly involved in that decision. How does it impact them? Is it better? Is it worse? What's best for me and them? And that's it. And if that means move, if that means buy, if that means sell, if that means invest, if that means whatever, stay put, great, right? We're about to see an insane market. Doesn't mean you should move. Doesn't mean you should buy. It doesn't mean you should do anything. Nothing should dictate that except for your personal situation. So my only wish for everyone as you go through this time period, a lot of you are going to have more time on your hands. This is the time we tell our agents this is the time to get really clear. Get really clear goals, get really clear ideas with you, your loved ones. This is the time you're going to be around family more. Have these conversations, figure out what you want, your goals, everything. What do you want for 2024? And more importantly, what do you want for Q1 of 2024? Because that's where you're at right now, and get really clear on that. And if you do that over these next couple of weeks, you're going to have a great year and you'll be a lot happier.
Love it.
Miracles happen, but you don't notice them unless you plan for them.
Yeah. You want to know what to recognize when they come across you, right? Well, we want to thank you guys for watching. We've had a lot of fun doing these this year, and we're going to be rolling into 24 with some more. And so thank you for watching this, the Real Estate Today, and look forward to bringing you some awesome more content next year. Thank you guys.
Happy holidays.